being selfless, which is being able to place the needs of others above your own, is not something that needs to be this grand effort of donating millions of dollars to charity or traveling to Africa and building schools for the impoverished, although those are great things to do. It could be something as simple as going out to lunch with your friend and letting them decide where you go rather than you having to be the one to decide that. And you might look at that and wonder, why should I do that? If there's nothing in it for me, what does that accomplish? And that's the question I want to answer in this video. So there are at least 3 different ways in which being selfless has value. That might not be so obvious, so I'm going to go through each one of those. And the first is that you show you have the ability to care about more people than just yourself. And there's a vast difference between somebody like that and someone who's just completely incapable of it. Because in the former case, even if you show that care in a way that's not favorable to somebody else, then you still have potential. You can still improve at some point in time. And the value here is pretty obvious. And that is, if you want to have any kind of relationship with somebody, then they see that you're going to care about their needs just as much as your own. So they have a reason to be in a relationship with you. Whereas if you only care about yourself, then they're not really going to get anything out of that, so there's no reason to want to be in a relationship with you. Second of all, it's so much harder to be selfless than it is to be selfish. Because it's very easy to go about your daily life only caring about yourself and not having to worry about anybody else or having to give up anything that's important to you so that they can have what they want. And every last one of us was born innately selfish. We don't scream as a baby or throw temper tantrums as children because we care about other people. Instead, those are just survival mechanisms that are hardwired into us for us to ensure our own survival. And so the value comes from the amount of effort and time and restraint and conscientiousness that you have to invest in being selfless, which are all absent when you're being selfish. Third, it's so much more rare than the alternative because, like I mentioned, pretty much everybody goes around these days only caring about themselves. Whereas if you practice the opposite, then not only can you take a little bit of pride in distinguishing yourself from everybody else and kind of setting yourself apart from the norm, but you're also going to generally be more valued, more respected, and more admired by other people because they'll recognize that you're one of the few. People like you don't come along every day who can actually place their needs aside in order to prioritize somebody else's. And finally, I lied. I know I said that there were 3. There's actually 4. Selflessness prompts more of its kind. So in other words, if you do something kind for somebody else, if you go out of your way for somebody else, then 9 times out of 10, that's going to prompt them to pay it forward and also do that same thing for somebody else. So, for example, if you let somebody in front of you in traffic, then most of the time, at least this is how I feel, if somebody does that for me, then I have an incentive, I feel a little inspired to do that same thing for somebody else. And that's how we can kind of collectively encourage cooperation in our society rather than obstinance. So to conclude, let people in front of you in traffic. But of course, that's not all. Hold the door open for others. Let your friends decide where they want to hang out instead of you having to be the one that does that all the time. Help somebody move their furniture and just generally do things for other people without expecting things in return all the time. Because the goal here is to genuinely be selfless, to genuinely care about other people instead of doing things because you expect that they will at some point in the future be reciprocated to you. So you check out my videos on double standards, humility, and empathy for some more context on that. And with that, thanks for watching. See you next time.